Hi, Creative Problem Solving. Welcome to week 4. This is the DSD3 Talk to Someone Different live review, and I am your instructor, Mart, and I'm here today with
Jody Lawrence. Hi, everyone.
How are you guys doing? So we've compiled a slideshow of some of the most intriguing and creative and interesting projects that we found this week in your submissions and in the forums and on social media. So we've compiled a quick slideshow and we'd just like to share them with you and talk a little bit too about each project so that you can get our insight into these when you're going on to do your peer evaluations. So let's get started. The first one is entertain a stranger case, and this one is a good example of a way to break the ice with a stranger, and it also provides an opportunity to engage with others in meaningful interactions. This one is one of the top rated in the forums currently, so you can check it out there, but we think it provides a positive experience for the other person as a way to break up her routine and engage with thoughtful questions in a new way, and as well as a new media, in this case, drawing, and I think she uses the DVD case because it's a play on the entertain a stranger case. Next, we have Alex and Sophie, and this one is really amazing and inspired a lot of really thought-provoking comments in the forum, so please check that one out if you haven't seen that already. This is a planned interview. The interviewer, he approached the person and arranged an interview with them outside in the cold. This provides a strong reflection on how we construct quick judgments and is a good exercise in inspiring others to give time to talk to strangers and expanding your comfort zone after getting to know new people.
Another thing to comment on this forum entry is once that this student started talking to Alex, it became this really intimate conversation about how Alex used to have an expensive home and business, and it was a real eye-opener for this student, realizing that he could lose everything at any time. So a real testament to the value of living in the moment now. This next project that we wanted to bring your attention to is definitely an interesting one. Sometimes we forget to maybe realize that we don't even know the people that we are working with. So this student decided to interview a coworker. And it was an interesting exercise in thinking why we may talk to certain people and not others, and expanding our social group, but also made us think a little bit about how certain jobs we're maybe encouraged not to fraternize with our coworkers, but who knows who you're working next to 40 to 60 hours a week. You never know till you sit down and interview them. Our next entry we wanted to talk about is making friends with the free hugs girl. So our student in this case approached the free hugs girl and they had a great conversation and actually ended up becoming friends on Facebook.
And again, rather than being the person giving out the free hugs, the student decided to talk to this person, get their input on what it might be like to be in this position where you're having so much constant physical contact with other people very freely. And, it's an inspiring message what she's doing, and it's an inspiring message what the student did to approach her and discuss about the work.
Our next entry is what we're calling Swing in the Park with Strangers. This student decided to go to the park and just kind of kick up some conversation with the people that were there, and they actually ended up deciding to jump on the swing together and continue their conversation. The other person that was there decided to take the photograph, and not only is it a really cool photograph, but it's kind of a sweet little proposition that you could just go to the park and have a good time with people that you don't even know.
Right, you never know how open somebody else might be until you talk to them. This is one project done in two different ways. This is Take What You Need and a Smile posters. So this is a solid example of talking to someone in a new way without direct communication. It's also spreading inspiration to others and giving something in a new way. And this will come up later in class. So think about this as an opportunity to sort of give something without the immediate feedback of the other person. It's delayed and anonymous, but also spreading positivity, which is really always a useful thing. Yeah, and somebody else decided to contribute to this one too, so check out the photos.
So we found that many of the entries are, many of you have found ways to kind of break the ice or have an interesting conversation using childhood games that many of you, I'm sure, remember. In this case, we have this kind of cryptic correspondence where two people that do know each other are having a conversation where they're having to write backwards, flip-flopped, so you can actually only read the text in a mirror. And so just kind of a fun little game with two people that already know each other, and a common childhood game, making up codes, decoding messages.
Yeah, just the act of doing something as a child is again something that will come up in this class, but it's an interesting way to think about things that you used to do as a child that you don't do anymore, and how many of those things involve communication and language and constructing your own reality.
Another example of where somebody used a child's game to kick up a conversation with strangers was something we found on YouTube, and we later found on the posts. Maria from Colombia, who you may remember from the last live review, she decided to use the fortune-telling color number game to approach strangers, where she'd have them pick their color and their number, and inside there was an intimate question or a general question, anywhere from, what do you do for a living, or what's your favorite color. So you'll have to check out the video. It's very entertaining, where she goes around and just breaks the ice with a number of individuals who are willing to play along, which is always fun.
Yeah, what do we call these things here? The fortune tellers?
The fortune tellers,
I think. So neat. A couple other ones that we've pulled up here are a game of dice, where she made a die with words printed on them as a way to talk to strangers and approach strangers. And another one based on a card game these are good examples of using games as an icebreaker. Here's another one from the forums that was initially posed as a question. You guys did a really good job of discussing this as an idea, but he had the idea to do a message in the bottle complete with a list of questions in English and French, as well as contact information and a Facebook page in case somebody finds it. This one is a different interpretation of the assignment based on the idea that creativity goes into constructing a project that is left up to correspondence based on chance and time, and waiting until someone responds. Ideas like this are inspiring and expanding nostalgia and a more positive outlook on stranger interaction, and putting your faith out in the goodness of other people. Another format of interacting with people anonymously is the secret exchange. So this student decided to explore the capabilities of emotional interaction and develop connections with anonymous people. So she constructed a talk experiment in a coffee house where people leave a secret in the jar in exchange for someone else's secret. And this is an idea that people open themselves up to vulnerability in a creative way, and hopefully is an inspiring and encouraging message for others that we all have secrets, and we all have an ability to connect with others based on this if we are a little bit more open in who we choose to talk to.
So as many of you know, because you've heard us mention it, we are on Facebook and Instagram, and we are out there daily looking for your entries. So here's an example of one that we recently found, and definitely an example of how you can have a lot of fun with these assignments. In this case, we have a student that is playing rock, paper, scissors with the rock, and ha ha ha, the rock says, I won.
So here's a few more selections from the Facebook and Instagram page, and we're also watching YouTube for any tags with DSD or CPS_MOOC.
And we are trying to put all the YouTube videos together in one single channel, so do some searches for that.
And we'd also like to mention a quick reminder to those, while we are really enjoying seeing you, so many of you engage in the discussion process of both your projects and critiquing, we just like to mention we put a few tips regarding peer evaluations in the announcements page. Please remember to check back on those periodically, as we do often mention some helpful tips and reminders on the announcements page, and you will be able to find links to some of the forums and social media there as well. One thing that we have noticed coming up too is that it's more about the limits that you impose yourself. So one argument might be that these assignments are geared more towards extroverted people, and that's definitely not true. You might identify this as saying, well, I want to remain anonymous, or I want to interact with people privately or one-on-one, and so that's a confine that you set yourself. Creativity really does flourish when you set limitations, and so that's a problem that you want to solve. You solve it in your own way, right?
Talking to somebody different, eating something different, these are all very simple notions that become complex and interesting when you ask the question in a different way. Like, how can I talk to somebody differently? That it should engage you to think about how you're comfortable talking to people or what you're comfortable eating. So this is a self-challenge.
Getting outside your comfort zone.
Right,
for sure.
exactly.
So thank you for watching our live review. Please remember to do your evaluations for next week and get started on the upcoming DSD in week 4.